So, the first question is, would you unconditionally recommend adults who suspect they are Asperger's to seek a professional diagnosis, even if they are already well informed about Asperger's syndrome?
Oh, it's a good question. Sometimes the diagnosis can help, but sometimes I keep quiet about it if the person is doing well. What I may do is say to the person strategies to explain themselves, but without using the A word. For example, I'm the sort of person who tends to look away when you're talking to concentrate on what you're saying. I'm the sort of person who says the first thought that comes into my head, I may have hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, I'm working with it. So rather than use Asperger's as a sort of an excuse, I would say learn the ability to explain yourself to others without necessarily saying, but it's Asperger's. For others, they find it then gives an explanation of their past, why they were bullied and teased. But it may also help them make better decisions for the future to their strengths. Rather than, it's what I call, be a first-rate Asperger, not a second-rate socialite. So it may help you understand those sort of situations that would be too intense socially and sensory. Do something that you feel comfortable with. Don't follow the herd. Be an individual. So a long answer to that question, but an important one. Okay.
Okay. Second question is, what can we do to help others understand that that Asperger's syndrome is another way of thinking, and even a valuable other way of thinking?
Ooh. Neurotypicals can be very arrogant. They're social zealots.
So can Asperger's.
Yeah, oh yes, I know. People can, it's okay. In your question, if you repeat the question again, if there's...
How can we make others, neurotypicals for example, understand that Asperger's syndrome is another way of thinking and a valuable one?
Okay. It is a different way, first of all, of perceiving. So you will notice bits of a situation that others may not have noticed. It's a different way of organising your experiences and referring back to the past. And problem solving in a different way. Sometimes a visual way, sometimes in a sensory way. But it's an alternative way of thinking. I use the metaphor of Star Trek and Vulcans. And when humans and Vulcans combine, we get the Enterprise. So it's not making a value judgment that a different way of thinking is inferior. Because when we look at major advances in science and art, it's usually been made by someone who's very determined, sees things in a different way, and doesn't get distracted by socializing. But school at the moment is a very intense social educational experience. Years ago, you sat and listened. You didn't work in groups. And when I talk to university students with Asperger's, they say their hardest part is not the work, it's forming a group and a group project. How do I identify a group? How do I join a group, etc. And it's recognizing that there are more than one ways of solving the problem. And you may need a fresh approach. And I want people with Asperger's syndrome to have more confidence and trust in the way they think. And for teachers to be more flexible in presenting it in a different way and accepting the Aspie way is an alternative. Sometimes better, sometimes takes longer. But I don't make a value judgment that different thinking is wrong. The metaphor I use is right and left-handed. It used to be thought that left-handed was sinistra, the devil. You must be right-handed. Now, people will say, you're left-handed. Oh, that's okay. Difficult for scissors. You write differently, but that's okay. I don't think any less of you because you're left-handed.
Right, so then I have my own question, which I'm not really sure it's a good one, but here we go.
Not sure if it's going to be a good answer.
It comes from that there are people who comment on YouTube saying that they they don't care what other people think about them, so they just act Aspie. And my question is, do you think that it always enhances the quality of life for an Aspie to learn how to act more neurotypical? Not necessarily always do it, but to know how.
Yes, and then you choose when to do that. And there are certain times when you have to be neurotypical to get what you want. You have to use the system. You're a minority. And sometimes to get it, you've got to fake it, but you get it. But that doesn't mean to say that the inner you is not a good person. Now, some with Asperger's do the two extremes, desperate to be accepted in the neurotypical world, scared or feel that their inner self is unacceptable, bad. And then you can get the arrogant approach of we are superior, which is equally damaging. And I would look for a middle ground, a compromise between the two. Now there may be some who say, I'm Aspie and I'm proud. Good, I think you should be. But if that goes to arrogance, it's now become a religion. And as you know, there can be dangers with that. Yes.
When taken to extremes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, so that was it? Those are the things you wanted to go through?
Yes.
Good. Okay,
Thank you
so
so much.
that's...